Hey everyone, today we'll be discussing Helter Skelter, a 2012 psychological drama movie. A young lady called Liliko is seen in the opening scene showing herself after having cosmetic surgery. It looks that she had surgery on practically every aspect of her body, turning her into a gorgeous model. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Mr. Asada, an investigator, and Liliko, his assistant. The guy's assistant says that all of the high school girls want Liliko's face, but he thinks that her skin tone and muscle movements don't match the bone structure. According to him, Liliko looks stunning on the outside, but like a fruit that has had its insides eaten by bugs. She is actually a debutante in the film industry. In the scene after, Liliko is in a press conference where reporters ask her how she is feeling. It turns out that she is going to make a little time later. Affluent boyfriend Nanbu of Liliko arrives, and the two have a kiss. Michiko thought awkwardly when Charlie entered the room after witnessing this. Liliko spends the night with the producer in the hopes that he can convince the director to cast her in additional movies. When Liliko gets home after this and looks in the mirror, she discovers a large scar on her forehead, which causes her to cry in dismay. The following day, Kinchin meets with Michiko, who informs him that Liliko's scar is the result of plastic surgery. She also reveals to him that most of Liliko's body is a fake, which surprises him. She then hands him a ruby ring that her late husband had given her and instructs him to take good care of it. Now that Kim-chan is aware of the secret, Michiko asks him to be with Liliko. However, Liliko visits a cosmetic clinic to have her plastic surgery procedure redone and have her scar corrected. Liliko feels uneasy but chooses to go with it after discovering other patients there who have similar scars and are screaming at the doctor to heal it. Elsewhere, Mr. Asada and a colleague are viewing a picture of the deceased Megumi. The patients will need suppressant medications for the rest of their lives, and if they cannot afford them, they will experience severe side effects, according to Mr. Asada, who also alleges that Megumi's ex-husband, a doctor at the same beauty clinic, is illegally procuring organs and transplanting them, as well as illegally obtaining organs through cosmetic surgery or bone and muscle transplants. In the subsequent scenario, Mr. Asada says that women are vain to the co-worker's question on why women engage in such behavior. Liliko, a subject of countless photo sessions, she looks to be in great demand in every magazine with her on the cover, and she receives offers from Hollywood as well. Eventually, she becomes everyone's it girl. One night, the two are driving back home. Liliko questioned Machika on her lack of cosmetics. After returning home, Liliko sits in front of a mirror and says, "I wish I had someone who truly loved me," to which Michiko replies, "It doesn't matter because I've already aged." Michiko then goes on to say that she is loved by millions of people. Later, Liliko receives a letter from her sister Chicago, who mentions that she is in the same city on a school trip and would like to see her. The following day, Liliko meets Chicago, and they are happy to see each other after such a long time apart. Chicago prices she mentions in her work on the drama by Liliko that she's thinking about resigning since she doesn't like singing in chat shows. When Chicago thinks that she isn't as brave as her sister, Liliko attempts to convince her that beauty makes one bold elsewhere. Liliko then gives her sister advice to lose weight and improve on her looks and promises to pay for all of the costs. He states that Liliko beats her wings the way others desire, even if it means losing her own feathers. So Mr. Sada and his assistant are watching an interview with her. He believes that now is the right moment to approach her. Meanwhile, when Liliko asks her mother Kiri if she is sending money to her sister, Kiri replies that she is, but she is unable to send as much as Liliko had anticipated due to her high maintenance costs. It turns out that Kiri hires young models and takes them to various television commercials and photo shoots. A few seconds later, she introduces her daughter to a young woman named Kazui, who seems to be well liked by everyone. The next day, Liliko and Kaozui start working together, but Liliko seems envious of her. Eventually, Kaozui slowly begins to replace Liliko as people warm up to a new face. Liliko also gets a lot of jobs, which makes her depressed. As a result, she starts taking various medications to help her relax. This further plunges her into a despair and sense of helplessness. Liliko visits Tamakiko's house one night and runs into her lover there. Immediately taken by Shin Liliko's bare physique, she requests his consent to kiss him. He readily concurs since it seems like Shina has a thing for Liliko. Michiko observes everything, but she keeps quiet out of concern that Liliko would dismiss her. She also witnesses her lover having an intimate moment with another lady. The next day, Liliko summons Michiko and Shin to her house and gives them a task. According to the task, the couple drives to a location and throws acid on Nanbu's future wife, killing her and destroying her face. Then, Chiko and Shin make love in front of her. The following day, Kinchan is doing Liliko's hair when he notices the scars on her back. However, he keeps quiet and instead goes to Kiri and explains that according to Ray, Liliko may have met his end. The next scene shows Liliko asking Nanbu about his future wife, but Nanba tells her to forget about her because he only loves Liliko. He also reveals that he didn't want to get involved in politics but instead wanted to be a sailor, musician, and entomologist. After listening to him, Liliko remarks that he should have at least given it a try rather than giving up and feeling sorry for himself. As the conversation continues, it becomes clear that Mr. Asado is fully aware of all of Liliko's secrets and desires, including the fact that she is the mastermind behind the acid attack. He approaches Liliko and addresses her as Tiger Lily before asking her to testify in court because the beauty clinic Liliko visits is illegal, in his opinion. He claims that the clinic takes advantage of Lemon's obsession with beauty. When Liliko tries to deny it, the assailant reveals that he has a witness as well as the license plate number and whereabouts of her vehicle at the time of the crime. Before leaving, he hands her the file containing the evidence against the beauty clinic as well as Liliko's secret. When Liliko gets home, she looks through the evidence and finds old photos of herself when she was fat and ugly. This worries her, so she injects herself with a drug to later. Liliko walks to the television program, where she injects a drug before the shot. Unfortunately, the medication begins to damage Liliko's mental abilities throughout the production. Meanwhile, Michiko visits the theme park and draws a knife on Kazui. Interestingly, Kaozui doesn't attempt to stop her or flee since she thinks that eventually, models would all be forgotten because they are only machines that process people's wishes. Despite this, models continue to adapt with new names and new looks. Michiko is emotionally affected by the remarks and chooses to scrap the idea as a result. The next morning, Liliko awakens with a horrible headache that makes her throw up after understanding that Michiko did not complete her duty. Liliko strikes her. Liliko shouts that Kazui will replace her and that she will be forgotten soon. She rushes outside after the outburst and sits on the street. She attempts to calm herself with medicines, but they are ineffectual at the time. Suddenly she begins thinking back to her old glory days and is extremely moved. Back inside the home, disturbed when Michiko discovers the evidence file containing all of Liliko and the secrets of the beauty clinic, she puts it in the mail slot. Eventually, the information becomes widely known, and individuals start to defame Liliko. At this point, Liliko's depression and the scars on her body have started getting worse, and several news reporters arrive at her residence to ask about the full-body plastic surgery and the illegal beauty clinic that she had been visiting. Meanwhile, Mr. Asada is accused of leaking important information about the beauty clinic in Liliko, leading to his suspension. A few days later, Kiri visits her daughter and informs her about her lawyer who has written a script for Liliko. As Mr. Assad and his assistant cross the street, a girl stops them and offers them a card with her address and the invitation to visit her if they so choose. When they leave, Mr. Assad's assistant asks about the girl and learns that it was none other than Chicago, who looks like she had plastic surgery like her sister. His assistant questions why God bestows youth and beauty on people only to take it away. Mr. Asada clarifies that beauty and youth are not the same thing because youth is beautiful but beauty isn't youth elsewhere. He also informs her that the situation is far from over because 156 patients have sued the beauty clinic and 9 people have committed suicide. After work, Kazui and her co-workers visit a bar to unwind where she notices Michiko heading to the basement where she finds a beauty room with a girl sitting in front of a mirror. Soon after, the girl turns around revealing herself to be Liliko, who smiles as she looks at Kazui.